Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America, and a very Merry Christmas. You're watching World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Him Kaur Saran. On the show today, Indian President Draupadi Murmu has appointed new governors for several states, including Manipur. Former Union Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla has been appointed as the Manipur governor. We'll get to the latest on these appointments on the show today.
And also on the show, as per the Taliban, Pakistan, they carried out several airstrikes in eastern Afghanistan, resulting in the death of several civilians, including women and children. We will bring you all the details on that story, but first the headlines.
Palestinian Health Ministry says the raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank resulted in 8 fatalities, including 2 women, while the military says it eliminated a terrorist.
Iran denounces Israel's admission of killing former Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran in July, accusing the country of carrying out a heinous crime.
Syria's new leaders announced reaching an agreement with the country's rebel groups on their dissolution and integration under the defense ministry. Kurdish-led forces that control Syria's northeast skipped the meeting.
At least 1 person killed and 14 injured by a Russian strike on Ukraine's city of Kryvyi, which is President Zelensky's hometown. Missile strike hit a residential building in the city.
Pakistan carries out a series of airstrikes in Afghanistan's Paktika province, targeting 4 Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan's camps. Over 25 people, including women and children, killed in the cross-border attack.
At least 5 soldiers lost their lives after an army vehicle fell into a gorge in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Army ruled out involvement of any terrorist-related activity behind the incident.
At least 21 people, including 2 police officers, killed in Mozambique in post-election violence that erupted after the ruling party controversially confirmed winners in the recent elections.
Two journalists covering the reopening of a hospital in the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince shot dead in an attack by gang members. Several journalists and police officers injured in the shooting.
Pope Francis kicks off 2025 Holy Year, inaugurating a celebration of the Catholic Church that is expected to draw some 32 million pilgrims to Rome.
Olympic snowboarder Sophie Hedegaard was killed in an avalanche in her home country of Switzerland. The 26-year-old secured 2 World Cup podium places and also took part in the Beijing Games. Now our top story on World DNA. Pakistani airstrikes have targeted multiple suspected hideouts of the Pakistani Taliban in neighboring Afghanistan.
Our correspondent Anas Malik has told us that at least 25 to 30 people have been killed in action. The strikes were carried out on the Barmal district of Paktika province, bordering Pakistan. As per sources, at least 6 explosions took place at the Pakistani Taliban camp.
Now, Pakistani jets were reported to be in the area. The airstrikes have caused severe civilian casualties and widespread destruction. As recovery efforts continue, reports say further investigation is required to confirm details and clarify responsibility for the attack.
Now, this comes amid escalating tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan over the presence of Pakistani militants in Afghanistan. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP has increased its attacks on Pakistani forces in recent months, with Pakistan accusing the Afghan Taliban of providing shelter to these militants. Islamabad claims that the TTP uses Afghan soil to launch attacks in Pakistan, a charge that Kabul has denied.
Now, in the reported precision strikes deep inside Afghanistan, Pakistan has targeted 4 TTP camps and also the office of Omar Media, the TTP's media arm. These are the second such strikes this year. Pakistani officials have not officially confirmed the airstrikes yet.
Now, the Taliban's Ministry of Defense has vowed to retaliate following the airstrike. The ministry has said defending their land and sovereignty is their legitimate right, claiming that Waziristan refugees were among those targeted.
The strikes came hours after Mohammad Sadiq, Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan, traveled to Kabul. Sadiq, during the visit, met with Afghanistan's acting interior minister, Sirajuddin Haqqani, and foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. In a social media post, the Pak representative said that they agreed to work together to further strengthen bilateral cooperation for peace and progress in the region.
And Iran has lifted the ban on popular messaging app WhatsApp and Google Play.
Now, this comes after country's top council responsible for safeguarding the internet has voted to lift the ban.
Now, this council was headed by President Masood Pezeshkian, with the parliament speaker, head of the judiciary and several ministers as its members. Pezeshkian, who took office in July, had vowed during election campaign to ease internet restrictions. The decision to lift the ban on WhatsApp had sparked a debate in Iran, with critics of the restrictions arguing that the controls are costly for the country, and others are warning against lifting the restrictions.
WhatsApp had been subjected to restrictions in Iran since 2022 after nationwide protests triggered by death of Mahsa Amini in custody. Other popular social media platforms, including Facebook, X, and YouTube, remain blocked since 2009. Telegram was also banned in Iran by a court order in April 2018. Restrictions on popular foreign apps has also stemmed creation of homegrown alternatives. Iran has introduced multiple domestic applications as alternatives to popular foreign ones.
Apps like Snap, Rubica, Surosh are most popular apps used for messaging in the country.
All right, in other global news, there is no clarity on the timeline of when Israel and Hamas will agree to a hostage and truce deal.
But Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu already has a plan for regional peace and normalization agreement. Bibi has put the focus back on the Abraham Accords during a parliament address.
Netanyahu spoke of what he referred to as quote-unquote moderate Arab countries. He said to the Knesset lawmakers that a revised Abraham Accords will change the face of the region dramatically.
The moderate Arab countries see Israel as a regional power and a potential ally for ensuring their security and the stability and prosperity of the entire region. I intend to seize this opportunity to the fullest. Together with our American friends, I plan to expand the Abraham Accords for peace and thus change even more dramatically the face of the Middle East.
Before the war in Gaza, a spillover conflict with Lebanon and the shadow war with Iran, Israel, with its ally United States as the mediator, was well on its way to further normalization of ties in West Asia. The Abraham Accords of 2020 were an important step for Israel to facilitate diplomatic ties with its regional neighbors.
Before the Accords, only two countries had peace deals with Israel, Egypt and Jordan. They signed it in 1979 and 1994, respectively. It was only 4 years ago that Israel signed a slew of agreements with other Arab nations. In 2020, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco signed deals brokered by the U.S. to normalize relations with Israel and put trade agreements in place as well. With respect to Sudan, the country is part of the Abraham Accords, but certain details are yet to be finalized.
While governments in West Asia opened up their diplomatic relations with Israel, many have criticized the Abraham Accords and Arab nations for sidelining the clause of Palestinian statehood, which Arab leaders said they would leverage as part of the agreement.
In the past few years, rising Israeli settler violence and raids in occupied West Bank have drawn flack from many. And since October last year, the dire situation of Gaza and volatility in the West Bank has sounded an alarm over the need for Palestinian statehood.
With Netanyahu speaking of changing the face of West Asia dramatically and singling out so-called moderate Arab nations, there are urgent questions on what it means for a legitimate, internationally recognized Palestinian state. Now, Russia has accused the United States of expanding biological warfare in Africa.
And the accusations are made by Russia's Deputy Chief of Radiation, Chemical and Biological Protection Troops Major General Alexei Ritchev.
Now, he said, and I'm quoting him, "The documents at our disposal confirm that the U.S. biological warfare presence on the African continent is growing at a rapid pace. Research institutes of the U.S. Department of Defense actively work in the region." The Russian general, giving examples, said that branches of the U.S. National Naval Military Medical Center stationed in Ghana and Djibouti are some of the places where active work is carried out.
Now, giving further details about the potential biological warfare, he also mentioned that the U.S. Army Military Medical Center in Kenya has deployed a network of field stations to monitor the spread of infectious diseases in equatorial Africa. In Nigeria, a joint medical research center and a military medical laboratory of the Armed Forces of the Republic have been established in 2024 with 10 specialists of the U.S. Department of Defense permanently on staff.
Russian general further accused the Pentagon and said that they use relevant infrastructure in potential African countries to conduct military biological research. He also said that the customers of U.S. government are the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the National Security Agency, and the U.S. State Department. And the main consumers of the research results are the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases and the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center.
The Magdeburg attack came at a time when Germany is going through political instability and early elections in February next year.
Now, Magdeburg attack puts the focus back on the country's immigration policy after a Saudi dissident drove through a Christmas market, killing 5 and injuring 200 people.
Open borders is the issue which has helped Germany's far-right AfD to script its rise. But will Magdeburg attack overshadow other economic and social issues in the upcoming general elections?
The latest poll conducted immediately after Magdeburg attack shows that the needle is not moving much. Support for centre-right CDU under Friedrich Merz went down 0.5% to 31% voter support. Meanwhile, the far-right Alternative for Germany, that's the AfD, it remains at number 2 with 19.5% support for Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats, which also went down by 0.5% to 16%. While German Greens gained 1 point and now have 12.5% backing.
The AfD is looking to use Magdeburg attack by making domestic security a key election campaign issue. AfD organized a rally in front of the Magdeburg Cathedral on Monday where AfD's Chancellor candidate Alice Weidel addressed the crowd amid chants of deportation and re-migration.
And US President-elect Donald Trump has reignited the death penalty debate.
Trump, all set to take office in January, has vowed to direct his Justice Department to vigorously pursue the federal capital punishment.
In a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump emphasized on death penalty to protect Americans from violent rapists, murderers and monsters. During his first term as president, Trump restarted federal executions in July 2019. Trump announced federal capital punishment for 5 death row inmates.
Now, this comes as a response to President Joe Biden's announcement that he had commuted the sentences of 37 out of 40 federal inmates on death row, converting them to life in prison without parole. This decision sparked praise and criticism alike for the outgoing president. Human rights activists praised the move, while many in the Republican camp condemned it.
Throughout his election campaign, Trump vowed to resume federal executions and make more people eligible to receive the death penalty, including those convicted of raping children or drug and human trafficking cases, as well as migrants who kill U.S. citizens or police officers.
Moving on, New York Governor Kathy Hochul has triggered an outrage after sharing a post about the improvement in subway safety on the same day as a woman was killed.
Now, following the burning of a woman on a Brooklyn subway train by an illegal Guatemalan immigrant, Kathy Hochul is being called to step down. The 33-year-old Sebastian Zapata Khalil is accused of arson and first and second degree murder.
Elon Musk is among those who have criticized Hochul. He reposted Representative Richie Torres' post calling Hochul to resign. On the same day the woman was killed, Hochul posted about the increase in subway safety, which sparked an outcry.
Hochul's post also garnered calls of resignation from several others. Brooklyn State Assemblyman Dov Hiken said on X, I'm quoting here, "We all witnessed the horrible tragedy on the train. I'm calling on Governor Hochul. I'm begging and pleading with you to resign now." And some other netizens also called for her resignation.
On Sunday, a horrific act of violence took place in New York, and it shook the people. A woman died after being set on fire inside a subway train in Brooklyn. The attack, described by the city's police commissioner as depraved beyond comprehension, raises urgent questions about subway safety.
Now, on Christmas, celebrations in Bethlehem are attended by thousands of people.
No, but for the second consecutive year, the biblical town in West Bank, revered by Christians as birthplace of Jesus, is celebrating Christmas under the shadow of the Gaza war.
On Bethlehem's Manger Square, Christmas decorations and tourists are a handful. The Church of Nativity that dominates the square is as empty as the plaza outside. There will be no giant Christmas tree in the square, no marching bands, no public lights twinkling, and very few decorations or displays.
In the past, it was much better. There were many people in addition to tourists from abroad, from the Philippines, Ethiopia, America, and many others. Now there are none. They also used to come here from the Arabs of 1948, but now there is no one.
Palestinian Mayor of Bethlehem, Anton Salman, sent a message of hope as he spoke ahead of the Christmas Eve ceremony from outside Bethlehem's Brazen era Church of the Nativity, where previous Christmas masses featured joyful displays of lights and trees in the square.
The message from Bethlehem is a message of hope. We insist that we must have the hope in this part of the world, in the Holy Land, because without hope we can't continue surviving in this land. Here we have a lack of peace. We have the continuance of the Israeli occupation to our country, and for that we must have the hope. It's our weapons for the future. We try this year to send a message and to let the picture speak about the Palestinian reality. For that, you can see that we didn't decorate the city and we didn't light it, the Christmas tree. And we want to focus on the reality of the situation of the Palestinian people.
The tightening of security around Bethlehem since the start of the war, combined with economic difficulties, has led to residents leaving. Tourism to Israel and Israeli-occupied West Bank has also plummeted.
All right, now a story from south of India. In a bittersweet turn of events, Indian superstar Allu Arjun finds himself unable to celebrate.
Now, the monumental success of Pushpa 2 for him perhaps the best and the worst have come together. As the blockbuster movie Pushpa 2 smashes records at the box office, the actor is entangled in a storm of allegations and investigations following a tragic stampede at a Hyderabad theatre.
On December 4th, chaos erupted at Sandhya Theatre during a special screening of Pushpa 2 when Arjun made an unannounced appearance. The crowd's frenzy to catch a glimpse of the star resulted in a stampede, claiming the life of a 35-year-old woman and leaving her 8-year-old child critically injured. Hyderabad police blames the actor's sudden visit for triggering the tragic event.
The cops called him for an interrogation earlier. He was grilled for more than 3 hours. Arjun denies responsibility for the tragic incident. The death of the lady led to his arrest on the 13th of December. He was released on interim bail after spending a night behind bars.
The tragedy has sparked outrage. Protests erupted outside Arjun's residence with demonstrations and the protesters vandalizing parts of his property, shouting slogans and pelting stones. The mob was eventually dispersed by the police.
Fans have strongly defended Arjun, praising his character and contributions to the entertainment world. The actors called the allegations against him baseless, maintaining that he was merely celebrating the film's success with his fans.
Even as Pushpa 2 dominates theaters and promises to continue its dream run during the festive season, Arjun's personal and professional life remains under a dark cloud. The tragedy serves as a harsh reminder that even in moments of triumph, unforeseen circumstances can cast a long shadow.
Now, another season of the Squid Game is set to hit the screens this week.
The fictional South Korean series explores themes of division and inequality. Its director and writer say that the experience of the main character was inspired by 2009 Songkyung strikes.
Now, Hwang Dong-hyuk explained that Ji-yoon's character faced similar trauma that were faced by laid-off workers during the 2009 takeover of Ssangyong. The union leader at the time, Lee Chang-kyun, remembered the clash between police and the plant workers.
예, 헬기풍으로 그냥. 그러면은 모든 게 다 날아가고, 소위 이제 얇게 입고 있던 왜 그 비닐 같은 거 있잖아요. 우위 같은 거, 비닐 얇은 거 찢어질 정도죠. 다 날아가죠. 그러다 보니까 기본적으로 정신이 없는 상황. 거기서 경찰 특공대는 들어오고, 도장곡상 옥상에서 그때 진압을 당한 상황인데, 그 몇몇 장면들이 남아 있기도 하죠. 그래서.
In May 2009, the car-joined Sangkyong was taken over by a consortium of banks and private investors. It announced that it was laying off over 2,500 employees, or nearly 40% of its workforce. This was the beginning of a 77-day strike that ended in clashes between strikers armed with slingshots and steel pipes and riot police wielding rubber bullets and tasers. Many union members were severely beaten and some were even jailed.
5 years on, union leader Lee Chang-kyun held a sit-in for 100 days on the top of one of the factory's chimneys to protest a sentence in favor of Ssangyong against the strikers. The result of the strike, compounded by legal battles, caused significant financial and mental strain for workers and their families. One of the fiercest strikes and company takeover in South Korea resulted in around 30 deaths and suicides and stress-related issues.
쌍용자동차와 관련된 사람들이 이 오징어 게임을 보고 쉽게 말하거나 어떤 표현하지 못했던 이유가 거기에 있다고 봐요. 쉽게 말 떼기가 어렵거든요. 일단 사람이 많이 죽어나가기도 했고 고통의 시간이 많이 길기도 했고.
And with that, we slip into a short break. But here's a look at all the climate events that are making headlines across the globe.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
In a year that reshaped the world, 2024 brought seismic shifts, bold moves, and unforgettable moments that will echo through history around the globe. Wars continued to ravage nations, but new alliances and power shifts began to rewrite the rules of geopolitics. 2024 also bore witness to nature's fury. Climate change fueled deadly wildfires, devastating floods, and unprecedented storms. Devastating wars to technological revolutions. 2024 was the year that changed everything. The Game Changers 2024. The year that reshaped our future. Only on WION. World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
In a year that reshaped the world, 2024 brought seismic shifts, bold moves, and unforgettable moments that will echo through history around the globe. Wars continued to ravage nations, but new alliances and power shifts began to rewrite the rules of geopolitics. 2024 also bore witness to nature's fury. Climate change fueled deadly wildfires, devastating floods, and unprecedented storms. Devastating wars to technological revolutions. 2024 was the year that changed everything. The Game Changers 2024. The year that reshaped our future. Only on WION. World is One.
Welcome back. You're watching World Day with me, Jyotsna Kumar, and my colleague Hemkar Surya. Let's start with the headlines.
Palestinian Health Ministry says a raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank resulted in 8 fatalities, including 2 women, while the military says it eliminated a terrorist.
Iran denounces Israel's admission of killing former Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran in July, accusing the country of carrying out a heinous crime.
Syria's new leaders announced reaching an agreement with the country's rebel groups on their dissolution and integration under the defense ministry. Kurdish-led forces that control Syria's northeast skip the meeting.
At least 1 killed and 14 injured by a Russian strike on Ukrainian city of Kryvyi, which is President Zelensky's hometown. Missile strike hit a residential building in the city.
Pakistan carries out a series of airstrikes in Afghanistan's Paktika province, targeting 4 Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan camps. Over 25 people, including women and children, killed in cross-border attack.
At least 5 soldiers lost their lives after an army vehicle fell into a gorge in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. Indian Army ruled out involvement of any terrorist-related activity behind the incident.
At least 21 people, including 2 police officers, killed in Mozambique in post-election violence that erupted after the ruling party controversially confirmed winners in recent elections.
Two journalists covering the reopening of a hospital in the Haitian capital shot dead in an attack by gang members. Several journalists and police officers injured in the shooting.
Pope Francis kicks off 2025 Holy Year, inaugurating a celebration of the Catholic Church that is expected to draw some 32 million pilgrims to Rome.
Olympic snowboarder Sophie Hedegaard was killed in an avalanche in her home country of Switzerland. The 26-year-old secured 2 World Cup podium places and also took part in the Beijing Games.
And 5 Indian states have got new governors.
President Draupadi Murmu has appointed 2 new governors and reassigned 3 others, reorganizing the leadership in the states.
Now, former Union Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla has been named the governor of Manipur. He will be replacing Lakshman Prasad Acharya, who is the governor of Assam and was holding additional charge of Manipur since July 2024. Bhalla's appointment comes amid escalating violence and deepening ethnic conflict in the northeastern state.
VK Singh, who is a retired army chief and a former minister in the previous Narendra Modi-led government, has been appointed the new Mizoram governor. Also, Dr. Hari Babu, who is the governor of Mizoram, has been appointed as the governor of Odisha. He will be replacing Raghubir Das.
There has been a swap of governors for states of Kerala and Bihar. Arif Muhammad Khan, the Kerala governor, is now the governor of Bihar, and Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar, governor of Bihar, is now in charge of Kerala.
A governor is the constitutional head of a state and has similar powers and functions at the state level as those of the president at the central level.
रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी इंस्टॉल कैपेसिटी की दृष्टि से
NASA World Soaks in holiday spirit, Christmas markets have become a must-go for many.
Now, the popularity of these markets are even soaring in India. And here's a look at a festive wonderland in the heart of New Delhi. WION's correspondent Nikita Singh reports. Take a look.
In India has firmly taken root and the air is buzzing with excitement across the country. We are here at one of the most vibrant markets in the heart of New Delhi where Christmas celebrations are in full swing. The stalls are brimming with unique gifts and sparkling decor, festive treats all ready to be snapped by the crowds. The excitement is palpable with family, friends and visitors all ready to embrace the joy of giving. As Christmas markets continue to grow in popularity across India, people of all ages are flocking to these festive hubs, excited to celebrate the holiday season. Families can enjoy quality time together, and it's not just for humans. Some of these markets are also pet-friendly, so you can bring along your furry friends to soak in the festive atmosphere.
Whenever we go to foreign countries, we always think that this is so beautiful, these flea markets and everything. Now everything is in India and we love absolutely, all the beautiful colors here, beautiful collection. I like, if we are here to buy, we can also, what we are doing in our creativity, maybe we can come again and I am, not the buyer, maybe I'm a seller.
So Christmas is all about love and giving and, to your loved one, not only to your loved one, I feel you should give it to others, the needy and everything. People don't mind spending these days for a little kindness.
These markets are also becoming a great opportunity for small businesses to shine. Vendors, both big and small, offer a variety of products, from handcrafted gifts to gourmet treats and sustainable products. Everything is available in the festive wonderland.
Small business owners like myself can, give their best. They can show their products. I think people really want to, buy these handcrafted products and sustainable products. It's something they're more aware of. They're more aware of the environment, health concerns. So they are drawn towards it.
So I know people are willing to pay extra for sustainable products. And for the ecosystem, they really care, So there is a niche section and that section is growing.
But what's Christmas without the food? Without a doubt, These markets have become the perfect platform to explore authentic Christmas offerings. A scrumptious cake or a quiche, it's the perfect haven for foodies. With its evolving Christmas culture, India is embracing a holiday tradition that blends global influences with local flavors. Now, whether it's a Christmas ornament or festive decor, the demand for locally sourced sustainable products has soared, thus cementing the place of Christmas markets in India's cultural landscape. With camera person Abhishek Rana, this is Nikita Singh for WION World is One.
Let's now take a look at WION's global markets and economic health check for this year.
First, let's take a look at how the top global markets performed this year.
Now, broadly, crude oil is set to end 2024 with over 5% losses following more than 10% crash last year. Bitcoin has surged nearly 130% with the so-called Trump trade boosting the OG token since his re-election. The crypto token broke through the $100,000 mark, which many had called a fantasy not too long ago. The OG token reached a new all-time high above $108,000 but is struggling for momentum in the last stretch of the year. Gold was the other big beneficiary in 2024 with the yellow metal repeatedly hitting new record highs this year to gain more than 27%.
The dollar too kept humming along on safe haven trades and inflation kept the greenback well bid. Moving on to Asia-Pacific stock markets, broadly investors bet on Asian stocks with Shanghai Index and Japan's Nikkei showing double-digit gains. Indian benchmarks Sensex and Nifty are set for another year of gains to mark a record. The OC Index too is set for a record-breaking year.
The story in American stocks was no different, with US benchmarks and the Canadian index showing double-digit returns. The S&P 500 gained over 24%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq soared more than 30%, driven by AI euphoria. However, the Brazilian stock index was the outlier, with losses of 9% for the year.
Stocks across Europe and Africa rose despite West Asia tensions and a trade flare-up with China. The French CAC was the only exception, tanking nearly 4% on the political turmoil. Despite the German economy losing momentum, the stock index there was the biggest gainer in Europe with about 19% returns. South African benchmark is up about 10% for the year.
Turning our attention to the overall economic outlook, the Asia-Pacific region, the International Monetary Fund gave a big thumbs up to India once again. This comes even as the growth momentum has started to ease, with the demand outlook looking shaky. The outlook for the rest in Asia remained negative. For China, the outlook is still mired in doubts because of the recession in its real estate crisis despite a stimulus splits. Clearly, markets and analysts are calling for Xi Jinping to do more to support growth.
In the Americas, the outlook for the US, Canada, Brazil, and Argentina shows that more needs to be done. For the US economy, expectations are now for a soft landing rather than a recession. While the Fed started its easing cycle with a bazooka cut in September, the policy outlook is more modest for next year. The economic activity expectations in Canada, Brazil, and Argentina were cut.
On the other side of the Atlantic, the weak outlook seems to be widespread. The UK and other European economies will likely just about avoid a recession. The outlook for African economies has also remained negative.
The 1984 U.S. Supreme Court ruling in Sony Corp versus Universal City Studios was a victory for innovation.
However, the ruling left many questions concerning how copyright law might evolve to accommodate new technologies unanswered. Now, a copyright dilemma is being fueled by generative AI and the law isn't updated. Take a look at our next report as we delve deeper into this issue.
In the mid-1970s, Sony launched the Betamax video recorder, enabling customers to record television programs for later viewing. The technology, albeit groundbreaking, incited criticism. Universal Studios filed a lawsuit against Sony. The firm asserted that the recording of television programs, even for personal use, is a copyright violation. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Sony. The court determined that the time-shifting function has significant non-infringing applications. Therefore, the top court ruled safeguarding it under the fair use concept. This pivotal ruling represented a triumph for innovation. However, it raised unresolved questions over the adaptation of copyright law to emerging technology. Currently, a comparable conflict is playing out with the emergence of generative artificial intelligence models. Courts globally are already confronting a pivotal inquiry. Does the fair use doctrine remain applicable in the age of AI, or should it change? There are several lawsuits currently questioning the fair use ruling. Here are a few of the lawsuits currently in courts. New York Times versus OpenAI in the US. Getty Images versus Stability AI in the UK. ANI versus OpenAI in India. Authors and Artists versus AI. The limits of fair use, a theory that aims to allow limited use of copyrighted material for critical, educational and research purposes, are being examined by courts in India, the UK and the US. Fair use, the cornerstone of copyright law, is based on 4 criteria: the purpose of usage, the nature of the work, the quantity utilized, and the effect on the market. Courts have historically construed this approach to accommodate emerging technology. Implementing this notion in AI is considerably more intricate. AI businesses contend that their models produce novel outputs instead of replicating original works, therefore rendering them transformative. Critics argue that these methods frequently compete directly with original material, resulting in economic losses. The implications of these legal disputes reach much beyond singular cases. Similar to the Betamax controversy, GenAI prompts inquiries on the equilibrium between innovation and intellectual property rights. Contemporary copyright law frequently proves inadequate in the context of global technology such as AI. The lessons of the past apply to new tech today too. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
All right, let us now take a look at developments from the world of technology. Have you received an unexpected call from an unknown number claiming to be the Reserve Bank of India? A new scam is targeting mobile users, with fraudsters posing as an RBI representative. The fraud voicemail claims that your bank account will be blocked due to alleged credit card fraud, urging you to press a button for more details. However, the Press Information Bureau, the official agency of the Government of India responsible for disseminating information to the media, has confirmed that this is a scam and RBI does not send such unsolicited messages. The experts have urged users to stay vigilant and verify the authenticity of any such call. They've also asked users to respond to such messages and to contact their bank through official channels for verification.
In a major breakthrough, the government has reported a 90% reduction in spoofed international calls from Indian numbers in just 2 months. The Department of Telecommunications launched the International Incoming Spoofed Calls Prevention System, which identifies and blocks calls that appears to be from Indian numbers but are actually made by cyber criminals from abroad. These spoofed calls were often used for scams, including fake arrests and frauds involving authorities. Since the system's launch, the number of such calls dropped from 13.5 million to just 600,000 by December. However, fraudsters are now shifting tactics. They are using international numbers, starting with codes like +8, +85, and +65. Authorities are continuously monitoring the evolving threat to come up with a long-term solution.